Dymphna, did all the wrong things, to be honest. And when I first went to my first one-day event, it was really quite funny because I was sitting in the crowd and everything she was saying not to do, I pretty much had done. So that to me was like it was actually quite good, because it made me feel so much more sort of connected and confident, because I'd made those mistakes and I'd felt the pain, and then when I went to the one-day event, it just made so much sense to me because of those mistakes. And so yeah, that's how I first come across Dymphna. I went to the one-day event, and pretty much I knew that I had to get closer to her and had to become a student, because what she was saying was exactly what I had made and the mistakes that I'd made. So I wasn't in the best position when I first started with Dymphna. I was definitely in I was in negative equity position and negative cash flow, so negative all round pretty much. So yeah, it was a decision that I think was the best decision I've ever made. The investment in the education, because that's now allowed me to be able to move forward with my portfolio and my lifestyle and my cash flow. The first thing I did was because when I signed up, I just got all this information and just thing arriving on my doorstep. So I went through absolutely everything, and I actually had Dymphna playing in the MP3 everywhere I went. If I went down to the beach, I had Dymphna playing in my ear. If I was in the car, she was in the CD, and I was just trying to absorb. There's so much information in there, so it was really a big, steep learning curve for me, and it was just really trying to get as much as possible, information as possible, as quickly as possible. And then that was before I got to my first 3-day boot camp, and that was where it really was just not only about the property, but there was the whole strategy and around goal setting, and she gets you to do the peg in the sand journal, and that to me was such a big, instead of being so foggy about what was I going to do next, and I'm in this situation, how can I get out of it? It would just become so clear after that, and really got to get to set my goals quite clearly, so then I could devise a plan and move forward. So once I got to the 3-day boot camp, it just kept plugging back into the website and the webinars that happened. It was just a constant drip feed of information and to get my questions answered, and basically enable me to move onto the deals that I needed to do. What really worked for me was because I really needed to increase my equity quite quickly, because I was in negative equity position. So the first thing I really needed to do once I got clear was to build that up. So it was the growth accelerator and the learning how to do what Dymphna calls chunk deals to get me ahead. So what really connected with me first, there's so much information, but what really I applied to really kickstart me to get along was applying the manufactured growth of the chunk deal strategies, and there's so many different ones. I did the subdivisions and strata titling and renovation and builds, and so I applied a lot of those strategies that he teaches you to get me out of the negative joint ventures, to help me build myself back up. So I think that was a really big turning point for me, to be able to understand that learn that there are strategies out there that you can do to be in control of your profit and not have to wait for the market to grow, and you're waiting and you're sort of sitting and you're praying, and that was what it used to be like. But now it's very quantifiable, and before you're going into a deal with certain a lot of degree of certainty that that property is going to be profitable by doing the feasibility that Dymphna teaches you. When I first went to the first one-day event, I was in negative equity and also negative cash flow. So it was probably around about a third of my income that I was in negative cash flow. It took me about 2 years, after all the learning and applied all the knowledge and plugged into all the webinars. I was able to turn that around, and now I've placed pretty much half of my income and in that time and into positive equity territory now as well, so which has enabled me to continue to invest. So it's been a journey, and it's been great that every deal has been able to get me closer to my peg in the sand, and to have that in the last 2 years has been it's been really amazing, and I'm looking forward to the next Next couple of years. Yeah, so look, I'm really excited because I've got myself in a position now where should be around about another 5-6 months time I'm going to be able to leave my full-time job and completely replace my income, actually a little bit more than my income, so I'm pretty stoked about that. And so I'm actually going to leave my full-time job and getting into property investing full-time. Yeah, so it's amazing. If you were to ask me, 2 years ago, Brad, would you be leaving your job in 2 years' time when I was in negative equity and negative cash flow? I probably would have just sat here and laughed, to be honest, because not knowing what you don't know is part of the whole education program is that you just become so much more aware of what's possible and what's out there. And once you apply that and you take it on board and see what's going to suit your situation and you go through and you learn the techniques, it's absolutely amazing what can change in such a short period of time. And yeah, I'm really grateful for Dymphna's education and her time and her program, and it's changed my life.